Hi everyone, this is Heather Lottinen. I've been a professional wedding and portrait photographer for 15 years. I'm based out of Pittsburgh, PA, and this is our weekly Q&A. Every week, people post questions. I hope to have answers or find answers if I don't know them. We're going to start with a question from Amber. She says, are referral programs successful? Is it worth it? If I wow them, then hopefully they would refer anyway, right? And the question really is, should you put your marketing efforts into referral programs with your current clients? I would say there's a lot of factors that play into this, Amber. First of all, are you currently getting the clients that you want? That is, the clients that you have, the right ones. And if so, then you definitely want to get in touch or reach their friends. And you're right, if you provided an amazing experience, then yes, by its very nature, they should be referring you to their friends. Is it worth it? Well, it just depends on what you need. So I always start with the desired outcome. What am I hoping to achieve with a referral program? If it's more referrals, which ultimately leads to more clients, then how I structure it might be different than if, say, I'm just thinking about brand recognition and awareness. Are they successful is a really difficult question to ask without having more information. Now, I happen to know that you're a studio photographer. I believe you focus primarily on newborns and families. If you want more of the current clients that you already have, then offering incentives may be a way to do that. I never had to run a referral program. I never had the need to. So the first question you need to ask yourself is, do I need to do this? Do I need more clients? And if so, is this the right path for me? I think you can offer an amazing experience and do really, really well with that, and they will not stop talking about you. So I would rather put my effort in creating what Malcolm Gladwell calls sneezers. Or is it Seth Godin? I don't know why I always get the two confused. I've read all of their books and I love them both. And they're both a little wacky, but one of them, who is it? Seth Godin deals with marketing, but so does Malcolm Gladwell. It doesn't matter. You want to create sneezers. These are people who literally cannot stop talking about you. So you have to give them a reason to talk about you. So I would really step up the customer service and the level of engagement with my current clients to see if I could just naturally get that to happen. If you want to test out a referral program, you might want to do something like, okay, for every couple of people that you refer that book me, you get a free whatever, maybe a piece of wall art, maybe a discount on a session. There are a million different ways to structure these referral programs. Now, I was along those same lines. This was kind of interesting. As soon as you posted that question, I think which was yesterday or the day before, I got an email from my lab, which is White House Custom Color. I use them along with Miller's. I love them. I have been with them for many, many years, decades. And I'll post a link to this, but it says, Josh Fisher's key to a successful senior model program. Now, what I'm talking about here, I want to differentiate between the two. You have a referral program, which is you reward people for sending clients to you. That's a referral program. And then you can have a model program. If you're a senior photographer, this makes sense. Anyway, he's kind of a different approach to the model program. So for those of you that are senior photographers, I'm going to post a link to this after the video. It's a really good read and it's really interesting. His approach, he says, quote, senior model programs should not only be used to generate, my gosh, I already messed it up and I'm reading it. It's a quote. Senior model programs should only be used to generate brand awareness, not to directly get you business. I'm talking about two different things here, but I would just want to make sure that you understand that there's referral programs and there are rep programs or senior model programs. I'll post a link to that below. Is it worth it? If it gets you more clients, it's worth it. You won't know if the strategy is working until you try it. That's why you could try it with a few customers or clients and see how it goes and then expand from there. Okay, Alicia says, what is the most important question to ask your insurance agent to ensure proper coverage when shopping for insurance, not including cost and or deductibles? Obviously, that plays an important role. This is a great question. What are you looking for with your insurance? Well, I've done videos on insurance before, specifically the PPA's coverage, as well as my agent, Jen Johnson Nazareth, was with me in a video. This is several months ago. You can find it on the Flourish.Academy page. She is my current insurance agent. Okay, you're looking for, number one, equipment coverage. Is my equipment covered for loss or theft? I'm going to come back to this. Second is liability. Liability is if you're on a session and someone trips over your bag, your tripod, or even something that does not belong to you and they are hurt, do you have liability to protect you? That's the second. And the third piece is something called the indemnification trust. That's from PPA, or other insurance agents call it errors and omissions, E&O. I don't know why I stumbled over that word because I've said it a million times. At any rate, that's the kind of insurance that protects you if somebody chooses to file a lawsuit against you for damages as a result of something that went wrong in their session. Let's say you took their photos, they hate them, and because they hate their photos, they hate their lives, you ruined their lives and they can't work again, and they're suing you for $500,000. That would be under that area of the policy. Not really likely to happen, but it's good to have it anyway, and insurance is pretty inexpensive. But out of those three things that we're talking about, the most important really in reality is the equipment insurance. Is your equipment covered if something happens to it? Okay, when I got my coverage with my insurance agent, I am not speaking about PPAs currently, but when I got my coverage, I said, I want to know that if I drop this lens, if I throw this camera at a wall, if someone else throws this camera at a wall, I mean, literally anything that happens, and I started listing all kinds of wacky scenarios, I want to know that it's covered, that I can call you and say, this is what happened and I need new gear, and you're going to pay for that. Now, the reason I mentioned PPA does have equipment insurance, but there's one key piece that you might want to check out. I encourage you, when you get insurance, to read the policy. Does that sound like fun to you? Of course it doesn't, but I read the policies and then I have to read them for you because nobody is reading them. In PPA's policy, it does not cover mysterious disappearance. Mysterious disappearance, you know what that means? Theft. Theft from the back of the room in a wedding, in a hotel, something along those lines. If your camera gear just disappears, they are not going to cover it. Now, if it was your home was broken into or your car was broken into and the police file a report as broken into and stolen, that's different. But if the police classify it as a mysterious disappearance, which they have done, then PPA will not cover that. So I would make sure that you have the insurance appropriate to what you are looking for. PPA's coverage is great, and I think everybody should be a member of PPA. It's $323 per year. Pay it, you're covered, you have baseline coverage. You're pretty good in most instances. If you are a crazy person and you want to take that next level, then you might want to look at something else that covers mysterious disappearance. I'm a wedding photographer. My gear is in a bag in the back of the room with the DJ at every wedding. It could very easily walk out the door. In fact, there was, this is years ago, it was in Dallas, this rash of thefts among wedding photographers where these people were coming into wedding venues and grabbing bags and running. It was happening all the time. I haven't heard of it lately, but it could happen. There's a lot of gear in that bag, so you definitely want to make sure that's covered. So when you're shopping for insurance, I want to make sure that if it gets stolen under mysterious disappearance, that it's covered. That would be my big thing. Everything else is pretty standard. Amber also asks, on the insurance topic, for equipment coverage, PPA, or where I have my liability, State Farm. Oh, okay, so I just covered that. I would check, Amber, though. I would make sure. And one thing I talked to Jen about was, she said, if you have two types of insurance, which I do, you had better be careful which one you use, because if you file a claim with one of them, the other insurance company could say, no, we don't cover that. You have double coverage. That's for the other agent. I let her work all of that out. I would definitely recommend talking with a professional. Okay, next question. Alicia asks, D750 Nikon, when taking self-portraits, have you noticed a difference between self-timer and the app? If I keep all of my settings the same, the self-timer comes out crystal clear. That's good. When using the app, it always appears out of focus, but using the same focal point. Am I missing a step? Connie replied, in a different group, she was reading, etc. Okay, you can move the focal point around in the app. You could adjust it on the phone. Self-timer works great for groups, but have never been successful with self-portrait. And then Alicia goes on to explain how she's using it. I'm so sorry, I don't have any information in that regard because I've not done that. I have not used the app that you are speaking of, so I don't even know what app you're talking about. So I'm going to need a little more data if I'm going to test that. I have used the self-timer on the D750 and it works flawlessly. Now, years ago when I was Canon, I did have an app. It was called DSLR photo or something really basic in order to just trigger the shutter on the camera. So I had it on my phone. I mean, this was probably 10 years ago, so I am quite certain that they have something better now. But I could set everything up and just hit it with my phone. And as long as I had my focus point where I wanted it, which was typically on someone's face, then I could trigger the shutter, boom, 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 and take a bunch of photos using the app, and they were usually fine. So I'm not even sure what app you're referring to, if that's a Nikon app or a different app. So if you could let me know about that, I could look into it a little bit further. Brooke asks, if you lose a digital file due to device failure, CD that no longer works, etc., but you have a 4x6 print, do you have the ability to create any additional prints in a larger size? She qualified that very well. Is there any way to create a new digital negative? Well, certainly you could scan the image in just like we've scanned our old photos in. But the real question here is, can you enlarge? And the answer on the surface is not really, without losing some type of quality. You could certainly get another 4x6 out of it, probably upwards of a 5x7 or 8x10, but after that, the quality will degrade. However, I have a video on the Flourish.Academy blog. If you just search for upsampling in Photoshop, you can upsample a photo by a certain amount in order to get a larger print. Okay, but there are going to be limits. You're not going to be able to take that 4x6 and get a billboard. Obviously, the quality would be no good. But you can upsample in Photoshop using the bicubic smoother. I have that detailed in the video, and you could probably get a decent sized print out of it. But even if you couldn't, taking that photo and getting it back as a digital negative would be a good idea anyway, just so that you have it. I hope that helps. Myra says, I've noticed some red pixels on my raw files in Lightroom. I have to clone them out because they transfer over when I convert to JPEG. Is there anything I can do, or am I dealing with dead pixels? This was a really good question. I asked her to post an example, and she sent me a few images, and there are indeed little tiny red pixels on her image. I didn't get a chance to speak with her directly, but my next question would be, are they always in the same spot? Obviously, if they're always in the same spot, then we're probably dealing with dead pixels. However, I'm going to post a link to an article I found on Photography Life, and it says dead versus stuck versus hot pixels. 3 different types of issues potentially with your DSLR that could result in these tiny little red pixels on your image. And the author details exactly what each one is caused by and what you can do about it, which unfortunately is not much. So I'll post a link to that, but you could be dealing with that, Myra. Yes, I'm not quite sure. If they're in the same spot in every photo, then yeah, probably. Nicole says, any advice, or how do you get or market clientele who want unposed lifestyle shoots rather than posed shots of family? How do you turn those down who want posed shots? I've come to realize I enjoy storytelling so much more than nice smiles and perfect scenery. Well, and I think somebody replied with this. Amber said, I think customers get confused and don't understand, even though when they say candid, they're actually seeking direction. Show the images you love and you'll get the right people. And I agree with that. My advice is always show the images and the types of photos that you want to get, and that's what you will get, because people will see that and they will hire you. So I would encourage you, Nicole, to go through your site and your photos and only post the photos that you love that fit this particular style and genre. Then when people come to your website, it'll be really obvious that that's what you do and you don't do the pose, and they'll hire you if they like it, and they won't if they don't. And certainly you could pre-qualify these people. You could screen them when you get an inquiry. You could get on the phone with them, which is always a better idea than email. and say, hey, this is the type of work I do. Maybe you've seen this on the blog. I just want to make sure you're okay with that. I won't do a lot of pose, look here, smile kind of photos at the camera. They'll get the idea. A good example I can think of this is if you look at my friend Ann Wilmus's newborn work, you can see that it's clearly studio. And if you look at my friend Taryn Boyd's newborn work, you'll see that it is clearly lifestyle. There is no question when you go to their Facebook pages and their websites what they focus on. Therefore, they're in the same market in Pittsburgh. They target totally different people. Someone will go to Taryn's work and say, no, that's not what I want post. They'll go over to Ann, or vice versa. They'll look at Ann's post photos in the studio and say, nope, I want somebody to come in my home, so I want Taryn. It does take some education on your part, but really, if you're putting out there what you want, then that is indeed what you'll get. But if you go to your website and you have all these post photos of families, then you're going to send mixed messages to your potential clients. So this is about getting really clear with your marketing so they know what they're getting. I hope that helps. Gabby posted yesterday. She said she's in search of lenses most used for outdoor or indoor. I didn't quite understand that, Gabby. Did you mean outdoor or indoor? Or did you just mean any lens for any time? I have a Canon 6D and I use a 51.4, in need of something wider. Any suggestions are appreciated. FYI, I'm new to all of this. Well, in terms of wider, I love my 24-70 2.8. It's extremely versatile. It's obviously a wide zoom. It's very nice, but it's expensive. I would recommend looking at the Tamron G2 version of the 24-70 lens because it's phenomenal. The quality's great and it's a little less expensive. Okay, it's a lot less expensive than Canon or Nikon's version of that lens. If you are, that's a zoom, obviously. If you're looking for a prime, then there's the 35, or you can go really wide at the 24. I owned both of those lenses at one point in my career. They were a little bit wide for me, especially the 24. I was like, no way. I did not like to shoot with the 24 prime, but that's just my style and my personal preference. 35 was pretty decent. I just didn't use it that much. I know that Leanne loves her 35 and uses it all the time. And I don't know, does anybody know? Can somebody comment the price of like the Sigma Art 35 or the Canon 35? I'm not sure what those are running right now. I don't think they're inexpensive, but I don't think they're as much, are they, as like the 24-70 2.8 Tamron G2? Does anybody know? I'm not even sure if anyone is there. Is anyone there? I'm not seeing comments, so if you're typing, I'm not seeing it. I would absolutely be replying. I'm going to pull this up on my laptop. Oh, okay, Nicole, I see you. She's saying $900 for the Sigma Art. Okay, and I think the Tamron G2 24-70, is that in the like $1,200 to $1,400 range, I believe. Okay, so we're all in the $1,000 range here. It depends on your budget and what you're looking for. And oh, Crystal, thank you. I see you. Crystal says I'm here. I just don't know. Thanks, babe. Okay, so hopefully that helps. I know a lot of people commented on that post, Gabby, so hopefully that will help steer you in the right direction. I also have a blog post on the Flourish.Academy. I'll post it below, and it says, what lens should I buy? And I have a little checklist, like a little guide that you could print out and go through, and it will just help direct you to maybe what might work best for you. Because it really depends. It depends on what you shoot, what your limitations are, your budget, all of that. You get it. Okay, thank you. Jordan says, how do you deal with photos looking a different color from your photo to your phone? This photo, she posted a photo, looked amazing on my computer, but looked yellow when I viewed it on my phone. Any tips for this? I know print is what really matters, but I want people viewing on Facebook, on the web, on their phone to see the best color possible. Okay, this could be, oh, thank you so much, Alicia. I see that you posted the link to YM's Sigma 35. Thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. If you guys post links when I'm talking about things, it's super helpful to other people because I can't do it while I'm speaking. Okay, so the color issue. Obviously, if your monitor is calibrated and the color is good on your monitor and it looks good in print, then yes, that's what you really need to focus on. However, of course, we want our images looking great on our website and Facebook because that is predominantly where people are viewing them. I would recommend making sure that you are shooting editing and processing in the sRGB color space, which is the lowest common denominator for color spaces. Yes, there are wider gamuts in CMYK and Adobe RGB and Pro RGB. I am familiar with all of these color spaces. So before the people on YouTube have something to say about this, I have studied it. Absolutely. There are bigger gamuts in other color spaces, but we have to play to the lowest common denominator, which is print for our lab. And if that is going to be sRGB, then I'm going to do everything in that color space, because why in the name of Mike would I shoot in a different color space, process in a different one, and then export to another one? That makes no sense. That means I would be seeing colors that would never show up in print, and I'm not going to do it. Therefore, I'm always going to work in sRGB, because that's where it's going to go to the lab. Now, if you are a commercial photographer and you shoot photos of makeup or nail polish where the color has to be exactly perfect, and you are working in a CMYK color space and you are printing also in that color space, I am not speaking to you. I don't know that world. I am talking to portrait photographers who use regular labs for print, and in this case, sRGB. If you do this, Jordan, then usually your photo should look pretty good across all of those areas. But you have to be careful how you're saving these for web, because sometimes there's a conversion or compression that can cause color shifting even when staying in sRGB. And guess what? A blog post about it. If you do a search on the Flourish.Academy blog and you look for color spaces or sRGB or color shifting, I can't remember what I titled it, you can look that up. But usually, I work completely in sRGB, and everything that I put everywhere looks good to me. If it doesn't, then yes, you need to make an adjustment for sure. I hope that helps. Charlie. Hi, Charlie. I see you here. You had asked, when you do an indoor portrait session, do you use your flash as well as natural light? And I also have 2 studio lights as well. Well, it really depends on the look you're going for, but I will say this. If I'm going into a lifestyle in-home session, I'm going to try to be as unobtrusive as possible, and I will crank that ISO and just shoot in a more documentary style, and I really like the way that looks. But if it's a super dreary gray day, then what I would do personally is I would take my Profoto A1 and I would put it off camera with my trigger, and I would put it over in a corner bouncing somewhere to just add more light into the scene. I'm speaking here of documentary sessions, lifestyle. If you are going into a home to do a family portrait, think sit here, smile, look at the camera, nice photo of the family, then you might want to bring lights in and do more of a studio setup. It really depends on the session and what you're going after. I hope that helps. Hey buddy, hey Dave, I see you're here. Okay, this next question comes from, I don't want to mispronounce your name, Sanale. I hope. I'm in the process of getting an EIN to open a bank account. That EIN stands for Employer Identification Number. Do I need to also register for a DBA or a sole proprietorship, or just with the EIN and business bank account is enough to file as sole proprietor? I have started marketing myself under a name. At this point, I don't want to hire a lawyer. Thoughts are appreciated. Also, at this time, I'm not thinking of LLC as it's a new venture. Do I need to take care of any other legal paperwork or formality other than the 2 mentioned above? Please help. This is a great question, and I get it all the time. In fact, I got a phone call earlier this week from someone who sounds to be in the exact same position as you, where she's kind of like, I'm starting this, but I don't really have the money or want to pay for a lawyer, and I'm not sure what the best possible approach is. Let me say this by way of a disclaimer. I am not a lawyer, and there are lawyers out there who know way more than me, so do not take my advice because I'm an idiot. But I will say this, you can go to LegalZoom.com and get a lot of really great advice. In terms of setting up a bank account, let's start there. I would look at the bank that I wanted to use. By the way, I just set up a business bank account with a new bank. I had to switch recently, which was a huge headache, but I had to do it. And the first thing I did was I called the bank and I said, hey, I'm a small business and I want to open up a business account. Could you please let me know what is required to do that? And they will tell you, because I'm going to tell you something, every bank is a little bit different, and anything that I say to you would be guesswork on my part. They will tell you exactly what you need. In the case of a sole proprietorship, they'll probably just want your social security number. Do you have to have a DBA? No, no one has to have a DBA. DBA is doing business as. You could operate as a sole proprietor and not have a DBA. Your sole proprietor is just your name and your social security number. So if you take that information to a bank and say, I'm a sole proprietor, here's my name, social security number, what else do you need? They might want, like my bank wanted my sales tax license. They wanted to know that I was paying sales tax and I was legal in the state of Pennsylvania. I had to provide that. So they have a variety of different things that they want. So you would have to check with them. In terms of the EIN and, DBA business, I would definitely recommend just spending some time on LegalZoom and reading through their material. This is fairly important to do right. Obviously, you want to get proper advice, so I want to make sure that I steer you in the correct direction. I know many photographers who operate as sole proprietors using their social security number, and they've done it for years with no problem. Personally, I am an LLC filing as a sole proprietor. My accountant handles that. Leanne is an LLC filing as an S Corp. So these are different types of business models that we've set up through the advice of lawyers. Not because, and actually Leanne knows a lot about this, probably way more than me. So you just want to make sure that you get good, solid advice. You can open a bank account probably right now with your information, but call the bank. They're going to tell you exactly what you need. My friend Kathy said, I just purchased the Profoto A1 and I'm loving it. No red eye, she told me. Do I need the Air TTL trigger right now? Well, Kathy, you would only need that trigger if you want to take the A1 off camera. So if you are currently using the A1 on camera, I know that you have a Nikon D850. Kathy has really nice gear. Then, if you're shooting it on camera, then that's fine. You'll be fine. But I know you're going to want to take it off camera because it's, number one, beautiful, super straightforward and simple to use. And the Air TTL remote, I know everyone has a different opinion of this, really not that expensive. So you can pick that up and then you have more options. And I love options, don't you? For that, how you manipulate light. So definitely check that out. Kathy also asked, how are you liking your mirrorless camera and what is your favorite lens? And I actually meant to grab my camera, and I would. It's actually up there on the shelf. But now that I'm mic'd, I'm connected to my phone. I love my Fuji mirrorless camera. I got the one with a fixed lens, so I'm not able to change the lenses. I love this camera. Now, the lens is super wide. I believe 23 millimeters, but it is a crop sensor, so it reaches a little more than that. I love this camera. I've used it over the holidays. I used it almost exclusively for our holiday photos, and I really, really enjoyed it. We're making a big trip to Italy this year. We're probably going to be gone for about 2 or 3 weeks, and that's the camera I'm taking. I would like to explore the Fuji mirrorless that have interchangeable lenses for fun, and I know that Fuji Day is coming up at YM Camera on Friday, February 2nd, and guess who's going to be the first person there? That's going to be me. So if you want to join me, it would be super fun because they have all of that Fuji gear. So I'm going to get to play with it. You can play with it and then figure out what works for you. Christy is posting about DBA. Okay. Hi, Lois. Hi. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so that's what I have to say about mirrorless. I know that a lot of people are picking up these mirrorless cameras and they are really, really nice and they're fun. And I thought, do I need a mirrorless camera? I have 3 cameras and multiple lenses. Do I really need this? Negative. No, I don't need anything. I need air to breathe, but it's a lot of fun. And it's actually kind of like giving me a kick in the pants in terms of upping my creativity, playing with a new camera. So I'm going to look at it as a business investment for creativity. That's right. That's what I'm going to do. Brittany says, if there's been a video on this already, I apologize. I've offered mini sessions multiple times. I get so much interest at first, but when it comes time to book, I get nothing. Is there something key I should be missing? I don't have a video about this, but I saw that you had posted another post, maybe a couple days before. You had said, am I doing something wrong? In December, I asked if anyone would be interested in Valentine's mini sessions, got plenty of responses, recently created an event and invited those who showed interest, posted photos of the props. One person asked to book, but when I told her payment was due, I didn't hear back. Is there something different I should be doing? I planned on taking a photo using my baby as a model, showing the setup, but should I do more? What should I do more? And what should I do differently? And you started your question with, am I doing something wrong? And the answer to that question is yes, you are. Listen, by default, if something is not working, are you doing something wrong? Yes, you're doing something wrong. What is it? I don't know. Obviously, we need to dig deeper to figure out what that is. But yeah, something is not going, if you are not getting the desired result that you want, then yes, that usually means something is going wrong somewhere. Okay, in terms of selling, we know the following. We know people buy from those that they know, like, and trust. Therefore, I had read somewhere, this is years ago, that people needed to see your product or service 8 to 10 times before they would be convinced to purchase it if they were looking for that product or service. 8 to 10 times. And then Nicole was telling me recently, she read somewhere it was more like 22 times. What? They need to see your product or service over and over and over. I mean, repeatedly, in order to determine whether or not they want it. And they have to know, like, and trust you. So this is about building rapport, relationships with current and future potential clients. That means you can't expect to post about a mini session and then all of a sudden just have them fill, like, magically. It's just not going to happen. This is a marathon, never a sprint. That takes posting, that takes engagement, it takes effort and a tremendous amount of time to build a loyal group of people or following who, when they see you post something, will actually pull the trigger and book you and pay. Christina says, I think people definitely like to see mini setups in use. For sure, you definitely want to get photos. And I have seen, not you, Brittany, but I have seen people post about their mini sessions and then have no photo of what that's going to look like. I'm not going to be interested in that if I don't know what it's going to look like. So I would do that, and I would not be afraid to post repeatedly. Now, we have been talking about the Facebook algorithm changing, and it has once again. I mean, we all know the Facebook algorithm changes all the time behind the scenes, but Facebook actually came out yesterday and said, hey, we just made a major change to the algorithm, and they talked about it, which was something new. So yeah, it's going to take effort, but know this, people are not seeing your posts. So you can either continue to just post over and over and over and over and engage and talk, which is what most of us will do, or you can pay to promote those posts. But I implore you once again, if you choose to pay to boost a post, please get some training and know what you're doing before you do it. Otherwise, you are potentially burning money if you're not doing it properly. So don't do that unless you feel like you have a good handle on how that works. You have to post a lot. You have to connect with people. They have to know, like, and trust you. I cannot state that strongly enough. And they have to see you over and over and over again. I know that there are several photographers. This happened to me yesterday. I saw a picture in my feed. I don't remember the business name, so it doesn't matter. Not that I would mention it anyway. But I saw it and it was pretty. So I clicked on it to go to their page, and I looked around at their work. It was beautiful. All of the photos were beautiful. I could not tell who this person was. There was no picture of the photographer. There was no name. There was no indication whether this was a male or female. I'm assuming it was female because the images were you could just tell, it had like a feminine feel to it. Very, very good photographer. I could not tell you who this person is or what their name is. That's a problem. And I was even trying to figure it out. Therefore, if your business name does not match your personal name, then I would expect that somewhere very prominently on your Facebook page, you have a photo of yourself like, hey, I'm Heather and I am the Flourish Academy, for instance. I can't expect somebody who comes across the Flourish Academy to know that I'm Heather and I'm the one that founded it without making it abundantly clear. How would they know that? So if your business name does not match your personal name, then I want you to go look at your Facebook page right now just like 10,000 foot view. Go look at your own Facebook page and ask yourself, if somebody landed on my page, would they be able to see me and know my name? And if the answer is no, you've got a problem. People don't know, like, and trust people they cannot connect with. So that's number one. I mean, there are a whole host of things. There are many, 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 many small things that you need to do in order to build up your business and get people to connect with you. It's never just one simple thing. And I will say this, I work with a lot of mentoring clients who, when they are not getting the business that they want, like in this case where they say, I'm putting things out there, I'm getting some interest, but nobody's actually booking. The first thing they do is they say, must be the price. Has to be the price. That's what it is. It's the price. I need to change or lower my pricing. Has to be it. Okay, no, that to me is the easy answer, but it's never the case because they'll pay anything depending on what they're looking for. So if you are not getting clients and you are thinking to yourself, it's because of the price, how do you know that? That's a major assumption, and my guess is it's probably wrong. It's probably that the right clients are not finding you, or you are not finding them because you haven't defined them. It has usually very little to do with price, but that's the first thing people go to because it's the obvious, not solution, because it's not the solution. It's the obvious issue, and it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with the price. You're going to need to dig deeper. Are you attracting the right client? Do they want these types of sessions? Are your photos good? Do they look good? Are they clear? Are they in focus? Are they color balanced? How do we know that they're any good? I know that when I started out, my photos weren't good, but they hired me because they liked me and they connected with a person. And I think they overlooked the fact that the photos weren't that great and hired me anyway. I am not speaking to anyone specifically when I say that. Please do not be sensitive and get all like, Heather said my photos were bad. No. I'm not speaking to anyone. I'm saying in general, how do you know that the people seeing these posts like your images? Have you asked them? Do you like these photos? Do you want these types of photos? What could I do better? There are many issues that could be happening here. I would say more posting, more engagement, building more relationships, more rapport, putting yourself out there, making sure people are seeing it. How do you know anyone's seeing it? There's a lot of different things you could be doing differently. And if you want to get bold and you really mean business, why not do some live videos about your mini sessions? Why not set it up, do a live video on your page, do a live video every couple of days, every day, a couple times a day, and say, hey, I wanted to show you guys my setup. Check this out, and I have these mini sessions coming up, because Facebook is going to put your live videos in the feed more than your posts. And if you don't want to pay, then that's the next best thing that you can do. But maybe you're afraid to do live video. I guess I understand that. I don't know. I'm pretty fearless, so that obviously doesn't really bother me. You guys remember that when Facebook introduced Facebook Live, the very day I held my phone up and I hit go live and I was like, hello, is anybody there? What even is this? You just have to try it. You can't let that fear overtake you. And if you are afraid to put yourself out there in live video, why not just try it? If you hate it, you can delete it. Why not try it? Okay, so are you doing something wrong? Yes, you are. What? I don't know. I hope you don't take me too seriously. We just have to figure out what it is. Hopefully you found that helpful. Hi, Susie. I'm glad you're here. Nicole says, do you think it's weird to ask clients if they like their photos and ask for their feedback for growth? Not at all. Not only not weird, but imperative that you do that. So for several years, when Weddings by Heather was still relatively new, I got out of the habit of this, and I shouldn't have. I created surveys at the end of the year. You can use something like SurveyMonkey for free, 10 questions. Make it super simple, or you're not going to get responses. Don't be an idiot and send somebody 10 open-ended questions. They're not going to answer it. So I put together really straightforward questions. Most of the questions in the survey were either like a checkbox, a radio button, and only one or two were actually like text sections, paragraph where they could type in full comments. I asked them about their wedding day experience, the quality of their photos, the turnaround time, processing, everything, packages, pricing, value, everything I could within 10 questions. And then towards the end, there were a couple open-ended questions that asked for feedback. What did you really enjoy? What could I have done better? And I sent it out year after year after year. And I'll tell you what, I got some priceless feedback. And most of it was very affirming and would just pump me up, which is great. That's nice. But to be honest, that's not what is helpful. What's helpful is when a bride says, hey, I think you could have handled this better. Whew, to which I said, okay, she's right. I need to handle that better. And I thanked her profusely for that feedback. By the way, that's a friend of mine, happy client. She was being honest with me. And I was so grateful for that and thanked her profusely and was very open to it. If you're the type of person that does not accept feedback well, people are not going to give it to you. I have mentoring clients who accept it really well and will say to me, Heather, how does this look? What do you think? And I will say, okay, we could improve this. This is what we need to do. And they're like, all right, great, thank you. And they roll with it. And then there are others of you that when I say that, you crumble. Well, if you crumble that first time I try to give you feedback, guess what? Next time you ask me for feedback, I'm not giving it to you because you're just too sensitive. Stop being so sensitive. If you are not open to that type of feedback, no one is going to give it to you. It is hard to hear what people don't like about you or your photos. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Then you take a deep breath and you realize, okay, I could improve if I did that. So Nicole says, okay, good idea. I love honest feedback. I would want to know that. I'm not asking for an ego boost. An ego boost is fun. It's great to hear how happy your clients are, and it certainly gives you energy to keep going. I actually have a file of thank you cards that people send me, and it's a great boost if you're feeling stuck or like you're struggling or like, is this really worth it? You read through those type of affirmations and you feel great, for sure. There's a place for that. But if you really want to grow and if you want to get better, you'll ask them for the truth and you will give them a mechanism to do that. In my Survey Monkey, I made sure it was anonymous. Now, they were able to leave their name if they wanted to, but they didn't have to. And the truth is, you better send this out to as many people as you can because many people won't reply. They're just too busy. But do not send me a survey where each question is like this long. Oh my gosh, you'll say like, hey, I have a quick question for you guys, and you'll write 2 paragraphs. You need to be incredibly succinct and direct. Did you like your photos? Yes or no? Did you enjoy the experience? Yes or no? I mean, oh, and another thing I learned recently was that if you're going to give a rating, like if you want people to rate you on a scale of 1 to 10, make sure you take 7 out of it. Because here's the thing, people will go with 7, it's pretty safe. And if 7's not there, it forces you to either say, okay, this person is an 8, which is awesome, you're doing really well, or this person is a 6, which is barely above passing. I love that. I'm going to scroll through here one last time and see if there's anything else that I can help you with. I think that looks good. Hey, have a great weekend. I'll see you in the next video.